if this building does not fall into the hands of an able, business-savvy, moral, integritous African-American enterprise, San Francisco will have a lot to answer at the seat of judgment and fairness. We are peacefully, lovingly saying that with our friends from the Jewish community, thank God for Rabbi Jonathan and Beth Singer of Temple Emmanuel Church, congregation rather. They pledged their support 10,000% for us to have this building where we will have our watering hole, a meeting place, and a revival of the Harlem of the West, where jazz will be alive here. So that's why we're here today. And we know we can work out the particularities. We have smart minds. Years ago, Willie Brown, Joe Hall, Morris Phillips, Arnold Townsend, and others tried to develop these 6 square blocks. But what happened? The redevelopment agency did not support them. There was redlining by banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all of the banks who should have been a part of an enterprise to make sure that African Americans would have their fair developmental opportunity. So we say today, make good on the promise. Deliver justice, fairness, and inclusion for the culture, the history, and the good sense of the African American community. That's why we're here. And before we go further, we live and fulfill the African proverb that says the Spirit will not descend without music and a song. So we have here the Gumbo Band under the direction of our dear friend David Hardeman, who will give you some sound of what we're going to hear in this place when we gather as a community through the support of our friends. statement in conference is intergenerational. We know, at best, as they say in Mississippi where I came from, if you're going to have a successful plowing of a field, you don't team up two old mules to plow by themselves. Neither do you team up two young mules to plow by themselves. You always have an old mule and a young mule hooked up together. Now we're going to hear from the young mule of this community, beginning with this bright, intelligent, courageous young lady, Miss Gloria Berry. Miss Berry is a member of the San Francisco Reparations Committee. And as a history buff, I always like to tell history accurately. She is a person who made the statement that if we're going to talk about reparations, at the top of the list for consideration, there must be the deeding of this building to the African American community to restore the Harlem of the West. Let us give it up for Miss Gloria Berry. All right.
Thank you very much. I was born and raised here in Fillmore. I was born here in 1969. My family, after 18 years, was evicted from the Fillmore so they could turn our apartments into condominiums. Yeah, ring the alarm on that. However, I want to say something a little different. I have a dress on today that I've had for 6 years. Why am I telling you about this dress? Is because it's significant to me. I'm wearing this dress because I went to jail for a marijuana charge. For possession of marijuana. And when I came out a week later on Christmas Day, I wore this dress. And this dress is symbolic to me. And that's what this building is to me. This building has been something we have been fighting for years and years and years. Tuesday nights, late night, having meetings. How can we do it? How can we activate it? For years we've been asking for this, asking for that. We had a soft activation. Soft activation here was beautiful. I don't know if any of you came to some of the events here. I've seen, ring the alarm on that too. I've seen a few of your faces at multiple events. We had a plethora and diverse type activities. Poets, singers, we had cooking lessons, we've had bartender lessons, we've had all type of different things. We had workshops for the community. We have market for all the stores in the neighborhood were able to come here and meet. We've had town halls. We've had Kwanzaa.
Tuesdays, Blues Days.
Tuesdays, Blues Days, off the hook. It was so nice to see.
Boxing for the youth, the mentorship.
Boxing for the youth, all of that. It was so nice to see our seniors out. They came out and were dancing. Did I mention Mardi Gras? That was beautiful. Yeah. It was just so many events here. And how I want to close this to say is this. For all of us that have been gentrified out of the area, for those who they want to continue to gentrify, whether it's by promising people at Plaza East they'll have the right to return, or different little scams and rhetoric we're told. This building is a right for us to return and have culture. There is nowhere in San Francisco we can enjoy ourselves. Not one place. And every time we come here, we got to all see each other like we get to see each other today. Otherwise, where do we meet?
Come on.
Where do we meet to enjoy ourselves?
Come on.
The Reparations Committee requests that this building is a priority because it's an urgent matter. The word on the street is the city wants to sell this building to the highest bidder.
Yes.
That could be anybody. You think they're going to care about us?
No.
Right.
So I ask to support us in this movement. I ask that you tell a friend or 20. And and that we do our best to give us this crumb, because it's really small in the scheme of things. It's a really small ask. Look at the other cultures around this city. You can clearly tell what neighborhood you are in when you go to those cultures districts. And last, community benefits. Where's ours? Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett. And now, Mr. McKidd Crawford, who serves as the director for the new community leadership. Mr. Crawford, let us hear it.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out here today. As you know, this site is the location of the San Francisco Black Panther Party headquarters.
Right.
All right.
So this is a historic space and a historic moment. It was also the national distribution site for the Black Panther Party newspaper. So when Ross Mercury put out an RFP for this was the last parcel to be built on Fillmore Street. All you can see from that way to that way, it was completely bulldozed. So this was supposed to be our chance as a community, as a black community, to have a space for cultural upliftment. But instead, we got a high-priced sushi bar. And nothing against Yoshi's, but it was a wrong ideal for our community. This space is a beautiful, probably one of the most beautiful spaces in San Francisco that could provide the capacity for black producers, organizations to produce events. It's not too small. It's big enough. It's not too big where we can't do nothing, but it's not too small where we can't make some money for producers to have space for community to come together.
Right.
So with the Mayor London Breeze Dreamkeeper Initiative, our organization, other community groups like the Fillmore Collaborative and Pia Harris, we have resources now to immediately activate this space. And so we can activate the kitchen immediately as a community while we decide on what the ownership structure will look like. Our organization, New Community Leadership Foundation, with San Francisco Housing Development Corporation, we want an RFP to activate the space. We work with Hard Hitter Promotions. He's somewhere around here. He's right here. And just given a 5-month window and the $50,000, we turned a rat-infested space into a world-class venue where we produced over 200 events and brought 10,000 people to the community. And so we shown what we could do with a little bit of an investment. Now with the Dreamkeeper Initiative by Mayor London Breeze, the resources are there, and we would like for this space to be immediately activated. Thank you.
All right, give it up, Brother Crawford. There you go. Bring it down, brother. Jamil.
How's everybody doing? I don't know how good the mic is doing. So I gotta do it with my voice. So everybody can hear me. But what I want to say is San Francisco is a story. And the African American community is very much a part of that story. You have some people who are so arrogant, they think they can get rid of the people and the city will still be the same. When you think about that story, the people out here are that story. You got historians, you got boxers, you got community organizers, you got business people, you got musicians, and people of all ages. And a number of these people took part in programming this building. So, people say, there's more to it than the building. There's more things going on than the building, right? The building is just a start. It's how you uncoil the story. It says heritage. Mm-hmm. Heritage is story, right? So there's reparations committees. You look at the story of this building, it speaks to the reparations that we deserve locally.
Yes, sir.
This building was supposed to be given because of the community that was taken. The community that was taken, right? So it's not just about the building, it starts with the building. Hey, I want everybody to say that. It starts with the building.
Yes, sir.
Right, so what was interesting and was magical about the programming of this building was that we were able to bring different ages of our people together. And there's not too many spaces, right, for black people to commune like that. This was a creative place or creative black space. This was a creative place for creative black space. And with that, I know he's hosting, but my man walked up here. He came out here from Vegas. He got to speak.
How's everyone doing? All right. It's a beautiful thing to see everyone out here. My name is Kareem Mayfield, Kareem Hard Hitter Mayfield. I'm a professional boxer, champion, and neighborhood advocate. And I just been around and grew up in San Francisco, grew up in the Fillmore District, District 5. And, you know, as he said, and as Gloria spoke, and as Madrid said, it is the time. Time is now. And it's you know, it was a time where we said that, you know, we shall overcome. And that was a time when we were saying that we shall overcome. But now it's time for us to come over. It's time for us to come over the barrier. And, you know, not just as a, you know, as a people, as in, you know, African American people, black people, Hebrew people, whatever people you may say, indigenous people, we must come together as a people, as humanity, and not just a color, not just a race, not just a religion. So now is the time, and as they said, as we are saying, it starts with the building. Let's say it one more time. It starts with the building.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now we demonstrate that we have support around the Bay. Where is Brother Chan? Over the Chamber of Commerce in Oakland. Come on up.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. My name is Carl Chan from the Oakland Chinatown Chamber of Commerce. And, you know, when Dr. Brown calls, everybody answers. And I'm only one of them. And many people across the country, we're here, either in person or in spirit. Oakland, San Francisco, East Coast, wherever you are, we are one community.
Yes, sir.
That's right. And earlier on Saturday, I was in East Oakland with the New Beginnings with my Mama Melva, and we were talking about equity for the black young people in East Oakland area. And today, people ask, why are you here? It's very simply, my answer is simple. I am here only because of many people in our black community, they fought hard for humanity, for everybody. And that's the reason why I am, and with many, many people of color, they are here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give it up again for Brother Chad. We are all together. And we have support, a buttress from some of our political allies. Therefore, very briefly, we're going to hear from first, who is our neighbor right next to us, District 6. And he, early on, pledged to the NAACP and the African American community support for reparations and support for this building, this heritage building, being in our hands. Let's hear Brother Matt Haney.
Matt
All right, Matt. Well, I'm going to be brief because I got Danny Glover behind me here. So I just want to be very simple with my statement. I'm standing with the NAACP, with Reverend Brown, with the black community here, to say that enough wrongs have been done to this community. It's time to get something right. The wrongs of redevelopment, the wrongs of structural racism, of displacement that you've heard about today, this is something that the city can get right. This is a building that we've already seen what this community can do with. When they had the opportunity to activate this space, it was used as a cultural, creative hub that our entire city benefited from. Yes. And that the black community here deserves. You know, I've heard that there's some rumors that this building would be sold off to the highest bidder. And what I can say to you as the chair of our budget committee, as long as I'm serving as the chair of the budget committee, that is not going to happen.
All right.
As long as I'm serving as chair of the budget committee, this building is going to no one except to this community. Period. And what I'm here to say, and we've heard about it in the context of reparations, this can't wait any longer. Let's make this happen now. Let's get this done now. Let's do this for the black community. Let's do this for Fillmore. But let's do this for our entire city. Let's do this for our entire city. So thank you, Reverend Brown. Thank you to all of you. You shouldn't have to be fighting for this. Let's get this right. Let's get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give it up again. Brother Mac Haley. Thank you. Next we have representing our supervisor's office, Dean Preston. Come on up, Brother Preston, and give us a word.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I am Preston Kilgore on behalf of Supervisor Dean Preston. So I'm here today to share Supervisor Dean Preston's statement in support of making sure that we keep the Fillmore Heritage Center in the black community. As Matt Haney said, not only is it important to the community, it's also important to the city that we keep this this building in the hands of the black community. The Fillmore Center is a crucial part of our community. We have heard loud and clear from community members that this prolonged vacancy is unacceptable, and we agree. Supervisor Preston supports the immediate reactivation of the Fillmore Heritage Center. Beyond that, we need a plan for the ultimate disposition of this property, and that includes the black community.
Yes.
As a former redevelopment property, this property will be sold by the current owner, the state agency, the former redevelopment agency, OCII. We believe that the building should be maintained for the benefit of the community in perpetuity, and we reject, I want to say it again, we reject one of the options that some city officials have raised, namely, as some people have mentioned today, the sale to the highest bidder on the private market. We welcome feedback and ideas on the path forward, but will not accept ongoing city inaction moving forward. We want to make sure everyone, sponsors of any ideas, community members, city leaders, merchants, neighbors, and residents of this building are part of the process moving forward. And again, I want to reiterate, that includes the black community. With that, I appreciate the time, and I'll hand it back over to Reverend Brown. Thank you all.
Thank you. Let us now hear Brother Danny Glover, our favorite son. Give it up for Danny.
You don't need to lead the weapon. You ought to lead the weapon right here. Every one of you who's here today, who come here on support and to fight on behalf of people, real people who live in this neighborhood. I see faces here that I've watched and seen over the last 50 years that I've been in this neighborhood, more than 50 years. I grew up in this neighborhood in the Western Additions, a little bit further up near Haight Street. But there's something that's happening as I walk through here, and I remember they have memory. There's always memory. I remember when none of this was here, the Black Student Union, which was I was a member of San Francisco State, had their off-campus office around the corner, right here on the corner of the restaurant with me and Sam Napier, who worked at the party, would sit down and have breakfast and talk about what was happening in the community here. There were real live discussions, not discussions about development in the building and creating new efforts in these buildings and everything, but discussions about people's lives. What were we going to do in the midst of this massive redevelopment that was happening here? How were people, how were organizations like the Western Addition Community Organization fighting? I see faces, the same faces. We were out here in 1968. We were out here, some of us right here, tell my man, we were out here in 1968. And I got two of my friends out here in 1968 right here and everything. So what are we going to do? Because the question is that we're standing out here almost in a situation where it's fait accompli. It has happened. It is doing. How do we fight? How do we not just talk about going down to City Hall and have members of City Hall fighting for this neighborhood, fighting for the diversity that this neighborhood represented? I grew up here.
Say that, Danny.
I would come from Hunters Point all the way to the Stanford Hospital here, up on Stanford and up on Sacramento and Webster, where I was born. I was born there. Yeah. I'd come here I come here with my dad, and I see this magic that was happening on the street down here. Magic when I went up there. I saw people who looked like me, people who had businesses, people who were doing work, people who were building community, people who were caring and fucking loving. That's what I saw here. And now it's here. Look what we have here. We gathered here under this one building, this building right here, to talk about what is lost, what is lost, and how lives have been changed, and the gentrification has continued to go on. What do we do about that right now? The building is here. The building ain't gonna go away. These buildings ain't gonna get away. How are we gonna fight for this? That's the question about how are we gonna fight for our own humanity right here in this particular moment in time and space right now. I had the opportunity, I guess I was the only one who had the opportunity to talk about reparations in front of the congressional committee around there, headed by many good feeling, goodwill people in Washington D.C. And I had the opportunity to. Our voices have to be loud and clear about that. How do we now resuscitate, build new leadership, and build the kind of community that San Francisco does not have anymore.
Come on, Mr. Glover.
My dad came here, left the Army after World War II. He wanted to go back to Kansas City because that's where he was from, the Midwest. My mama from the Deep South. They had married in New York. They got out here. And my dad said, come on, Carrie, I'm going back to Detroit. I got a job waiting for me in Detroit. Imagine what that job was. And my mother said, we're not going anywhere. We better stay here. We're going to stay here. This is God's country. My mother thought this was God's country. She grew, and she made us feel that this was God's country. And the possibility, we have to recreate, reimagine the possibility for all of us, whether we're black, we're Hispanic, whether we're Asian, whether we're working class white. We have to rebuild this place for that. And that's what it had. That's not what it has been. They have not delivered on the promise that was delivered. That was destined to be delivered in this, and that's what we have to fight for. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give it up again. Our favorite song. And we have also to my right, standing here patiently, Brother David Campos, former member of the Board of Supervisors. We thank God for his presence, for he does bring to us Latinx, Latino community. God bless you, my brother.
Thank you.
Give us
Thank
a
you.
brief word.
Thank you, Reverend Brown. And it's hard to follow Danny Glover, but I stand here as a gay, a brown Latino man who believes that we, as an LGBTQ community, as a Latino community, as any community of color, that we owed a great deal of gratitude to the Black community, to the African American community, and the civil rights movement that fought for not only their rights, but our rights. And I am here to say that as a gay Latino San Franciscan, I think that it is shameful that the city has not done more for the Black community. And I'm here to say that while it starts with the building, it cannot end with this building. This building is the first thing that we want to see. You know, we just went through a 1 in 100 years pandemic. And the thing about that pandemic is that it didn't create inequality, but it really shed light on the inequities of our society. And this is the time to once and for all do the right thing for all communities of color, because these are the communities that actually were devastated by this pandemic. It's not just slavery, racism that this Black community has fought. We just went through COVID, which has become so more sinister because it exploited a society that has been weakened by injustice and racism. So this is the time, San Francisco, to begin with this building. But let's not end there. The other thing that I want to acknowledge is that there are policies around the city, around housing, that need to change, because those very policies are pushing people of color and low-income people out of San Francisco. We just had in District 6 a building approved that only had 13% affordable housing, and only 6% of those units were reserved for low-income people in that district. That is not acceptable in San Francisco. That is pushing out the Black community, the Latino community, the Chinese community. So I'm here to say the Black community is not alone. You have the Latino community, the Asian community, the gay community, because if they go after you, they go after all of us. Thank you so much.
Give it up again, Brother Campbell. Wonderful, thank you. Extending the fellowship. Now, from the Healing Circle, Miss Maddie Scott will bring us brief remarks. We have the ladies here. Give it up for Sister Maddie.
As Danny Glover was talking about the Fillmore, it brought me back. It brought me back because right here is where I got my education from the Black Panther Party. Right here is where the free breakfasts were served to our children in the morning time to go to school so they wouldn't go to school with empty bellies. Right here is where Kathleen Cleaver and Eldridge Cleaver came and had an agenda for our community to save lives. Where your seniors breakfast program started, where your after school program started. They didn't get the credit for it, but it all came from them. The Meals on Wheels, that came from the Black Panther Party. They started that. The after school program, Latchkey, that started from the Black Panther program. The free breakfast program in the schools, that started right here. Right here. So this building is not about the building. It's about all of us and none of us. I lost my son, along with hundreds of mothers in this community, to gun violence. Where many are hanging out right now down there on the corner of Charlie, when they could be in this building, taking culinary lessons, taking music lessons, or they could be taking Black history lessons and learning about music. That's what time it is. Where they can learn how to become a barber and open up Chicago barbershop again. Where James Brown and all of them came to get their hair done. And we're in the hotel where they had to sit across the street because they were not welcome at the Fairmont. Come on. They weren't welcome there. Tell us. Okay? So this is about all of us and none of us. That's right. We can't lose no more babies. You want to stop violence? Think about this building. You want to stop violence against our young men? Give them something to do. Educate them. Educate them. Give them leadership. That's what time it is. I'm tired of our having to beg. I remember growing up here, we went to the Cobble House. I went to Third Baptist Church on Sunday. We came down the hill, had our dinner right here on Fillmore Street. We got our clothes, Easter clothes right there. My mama got a hatch from there. We didn't have to go downtown. Right. I didn't have to go get my hair done across town. I got it done on Fillmore. I went to the movie house on Fillmore. I went to the skating ring on Fillmore. My daddy shot pool at Trees Pool Hall on Fillmore. And we went to church in Fillmore. Only thing that's left on Fillmore is the churches. Where are our people at? Come on, everybody has benefited off our pain. That's right. Everybody. Say that again. We need reparations. And reparations is giving us this building like you gave everybody else buildings for $1. Yeah. You gave everybody else buildings in this city for $1. We should get this building for $1 like everybody else. This city owes us that. They sure do. Shame on you, San Francisco. Shame on you. It feels like Jim Crow in San Francisco. We can't have that no more. All of us, this is about all of us and none of us, and we can do it together. All lives matter, and we're going to do it together. We're going to get this building back. It is ours. We have a right to it, and you will not take it from us.
All right. Give it up for Maddie Scott. And now to my left here, we have Dr. Robert Shaw, pastor of the great Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church, who will bring us brief remarks.
Greetings, everyone. As everyone has already spoken, we all are carrying the same sentiment, but what it represents is that there is unity in the community. We have come together for a situation in believing what is right is right. In the city of San Francisco, the city of St. Francis. Now, I have not been here as long as everyone else has. Brother Danny Glover mentioned his father was from Kansas City. I am from Kansas City, Missouri. And prior to being assigned to Bethlehem Church here in San Francisco, we were in Kansas City. Having been here for 4 years, I understand the sentiment and the cries of the community and the atrocity that is taking place to where a city is only 3% African American after the result and the effects and the devastation of gentrification. How is it you can have Chinatown, you can have Japantown, you can have Russian Hills, you can have Little Italy, and the Fillmore has relegated only to a small area in this great city? We have come for reparations, but reparations does not mean a handout. Reparations means a hand up, a seat at the table for equity and equability for a people to be able to do for themselves. We believe it's not just giving it to the community, but it's building the community to address the issues of the community. People can't afford to live in San Francisco. We need more affordable housing. We need to address homelessness as well as the violence. So here in the Fillmore, we're asking to fill the Fillmore with those who represent the Fillmore. Thank you. Bless you.
Let's give it up for Dr. Shaw. Very eloquently stated. And now we have the consummate historian, Brother John Templeton.
All right.
Give us a brief remark, Doctor.
Hi, I'm John William Templeton. I was the project historian for this building, and I worked directly with the legendary Mary Helen Rogers and with Leroy King, who made it specifically clear that this building was to be used for the benefit of the black community in perpetuity. And so we have to make sure that our public agencies carry out the obligations that were made. Mary Helen Rogers, if you don't know who she was the leader of the Western Addition Community Organization, and she went to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1968 and won the case that established relocation benefits for the entire country. And so she was a powerhouse. Roy King was the leader of the ILWU, which was part of the church labor movement and also supported the Montgomery bus boycott and a lot of other things. So, as has been mentioned before, this was the site for the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther newspaper. So what we need structurally, because redevelopment agencies are state agencies, part of what needs to happen is through state government. So, we created the California African American Freedom Trail with 6,000 sites. And in the last year, we got $35 million from the state for a black theater in San Diego. We got $50 million for Charles Drew Medical School in LA. We got $6 million for Destination Crenshaw in LA. So by holding on to this building, it gives us a chance to work with our legislatures to make sure that there's a permanent funding solution for the preservation of this community that is of global significance. Last point is that this is at risk because the planning department has delayed doing what's called African American context statement for the last 14 years. We drafted it in 2009 and they refused to act on it. So tomorrow, Dr. Brown and I and some other folks are going to be meeting with the planning department to get that off dead center, make sure that that document is done by the end of the year so that we can protect the globally significant landmarks. In 70 years, the city's only done 2 registered landmarks for the black community. So we need to make sure that our heritage is protected. As people have said, it's not just a building, it's our entire community. Last point, later on this week, anniversary of the worst mass casualty event in American history prior to 9/11. City has never acknowledged officially. So that's just a testament to the kind of gross negligence that has happened with the preservation of the black community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give it up for Brother John Templeton. And now we have another young mule, Brother Daniel Landry, who's chair of the board of the Martin Luther King Marcus Garvey Development, and also serves as a member of the Reparations Committee of the City and County of San Francisco. He will give us brief remarks.
Yeah, just real briefly. First of all, thank you. As one of those young mules, I stand in solidarity with this movement. And it brings a smile to my face to see us stand here on holy land. I've said before and I'll say it again. Heritage means birthright.
All right.
And the birthright of black people all through this nation has been challenged by forces that want to kick us out, want to reduce us, and move us away from naturally that's ours. So I want to just say thank you. Thank you. Dr. Brown, the new Community Leadership Foundation, all the community activists, the pastors, the preachers, the business owners, those who's been watching this movement. This is just the beginning. Because we will not allow a city, a world-class city, to hesitate with reparations for the black community. So I stand with you, call on me as I call on you, because these two mules, old and young, we gonna get the job done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Dan. And now, Brother Dan Daniels, Vice President of the State Conference of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. He comes to speak in behalf of our President, Rick Callender.
And good afternoon. And thank you, Dr. Brown, for putting this together. I, too, like some of the people you've heard, I came out here, a poor boy from Oklahoma, and I had to get to the Fillmore. When I was coming out here, Clara Lupa, who was my mentor in Oklahoma, said you got to connect with Reverend Brown. You got to connect with the Fillmore. They listed the Fillmore as New York in the West, and we need this building. I have lived here since 1970. I have watched the population of black folks leave this city because we couldn't handle it, because they have pushed us out. It is time for us to get back to this Heritage Center. We need a place. I travel all over the United States, and in different black communities, I see growth. I see growth in Ohio. I see growth in New York. I see growth in Baltimore. But San Francisco, where the magic happens, is where this needs to be. So the California and Hawaii State Conference supports Reverend Dr. Amos Brown and the San Francisco branch in this endeavor. And whatever we need, we will do. We have 42 branches throughout the state. If I need to bring them all to the city, we will. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Brother Dan Daniel. And now, if anyone in the press corps wishes to raise some pointed questions, we will field your questions. I know you heard a lot, but if there's anything that you have questions about, for clarity's sake. So we have everyone's attention, please. This is a movement, and we are going to do whatever is necessary, whatever we can do peacefully, sensibly, and morally to make sure that this African American community not have to come again and stand to wash the dirty linen of San Francisco. So we are going to hang together. We're going to stay on the case until all, and all means all, who are of goodwill, have a conscience, and believe in justice and fairness, as Nike says, just show the world by giving this building.
I don't need a microphone. We just have to stick together and not take no for an answer. It's been easy for them to rip us off, but it's not going to be easy to keep doing it. So let's work together. Let's get serious about this and back up all this rhetoric with some action. We want to see action from the city, or the community is going to take action immediately. Thank you.